The invitation arrived in a gold-embossed envelope, heavy and luxurious. The Inaugural Hope and Dreams Gala, it read. An evening of elegance, compassion, and life-changing impact. Hosted by Amanda Worthington. Below, in smaller script, benefiting underprivileged children in our community. The ticket price was $10,000 per person. I stared at it, stunned. My friend Amanda, we'd known each other for 15 years, was hosting a charity gala. A $10,000 charity gala. I was happy for her, proud of her, impressed by her ambition. I had no idea that the only thing being funded that night was her brand new kitchen renovation. Let me rewind. My name is Sarah. I'm 42, a small business owner, and I've known Amanda since college. We were roommates, bridesmaids at each other's weddings, godparents to each other's children. She was the kind of friend you could call at 3 a.m., the one who'd drop everything to help. When her husband lost his job, I lent her money. When my mother died, she held me for hours. We were sisters in every way but blood. So when she called to tell me about the gala, I was genuinely excited. Sarah, I'm doing something huge, she said, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. A charity gala. For underprivileged kids. We're going to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars. Can you believe it? I could believe it. Amanda had always been ambitious, always wanted to make a difference. She'd worked in nonprofits for years, knew the landscape, had the connections. This was her moment. Of course I'll come, I said. And I'll buy a table. For me and a few friends. She gasped. A whole table? That's $40,000. Sarah, that's incredible. It's for a good cause. Send me the details. The next few months were a whirlwind of planning. Amanda sent updates constantly, the venue, the caterer, the auction items, the celebrity guests. She was working around the clock, stressed but exhilarated. I was proud of her. The week before the gala, she sent me a brochure. Glossy, professional, full of heart-wrenching photos of children in need. Your support makes this possible, the text read. Every dollar goes directly to programs that change lives. I believed it. I wrote the check for $40,000 for tickets for me and my friends, and felt good about it. The night of the gala arrived. I put on my finest gown, gathered my friends, and headed to the venue. The venue was stunning. A historic ballroom, chandeliers, flowers everywhere. Guests in designer gowns and tuxedos sipped champagne and mingled. A jazz band played softly in the corner. It was exactly what a charity gala should be. Amanda greeted me at the door, radiant in a red dress. She hugged me tight. You made it. Thank you so much for your support. I couldn't have done this without you. This is incredible, Amanda. You've outdone yourself. She beamed, then hurried off to greet other guests. I found my table, settled in, and enjoyed the evening. The food was exquisite. The auction items were lavish. The speeches were moving. Near the end of the night, Amanda took the stage to announce the total raised. The room went quiet. Ladies and gentlemen, she said, her voice trembling with emotion, I am thrilled to announce that we have raised over $850,000 tonight for underprivileged children in our community. The crowd erupted in applause. I clapped harder than anyone, tears in my eyes. My friend had done something amazing. A few weeks later, I received a thank you package in the mail. A handwritten note from Amanda, a tax receipt for my donation, and a small gift, a beautiful photo frame with the words, "Making a difference," engraved on it. I put the frame on my desk and felt proud. Months passed. I didn't think much about the gala until I got a call from a mutual friend. Sarah, have you seen Amanda's new kitchen? Her kitchen? No, why? She just posted photos. It's gorgeous. Must have cost a fortune. I shrugged it off. Amanda's husband had a new job. Maybe they'd saved up. Nothing to do with me. But the thought nagged at me. A few days later, I saw the photos myself. Marble countertops, custom cabinets, high-end appliances. It looked like a $100,000 renovation easy. I remembered the gala. The $850,000 raised. The promise that every dollar went to children. I started digging. It started with a simple Google search. Hope and Dreams Gala led me to a website, bare bones, with no information about where the money went. No financial reports, no board of directors, no nonprofit registration number. I searched the state charity database. Nothing. I called the IRS. No record of a nonprofit by that name. My stomach dropped. Amanda had raised $850,000 for a charity that didn't exist. I confronted her by phone. Her voice was light, unconcerned. "Oh, that? It's a fiscal sponsorship, Sarah. We're under another nonprofit's umbrella. Totally legal." "Which nonprofit?" "I want the name." She hesitated. "I'll have to get back to you. It's complicated." She never got back to me. I called again, texted, emailed. Nothing. I hired a private investigator. The private investigator's name was Marcus. He was a retired FBI agent with a calm demeanor and a relentless attention to detail. I hired him with a $5,000 retainer and a prayer that I was wrong. Within 2 weeks, he had answers. Devastating ones. Amanda had never registered a nonprofit. There was no fiscal sponsorship. The $850,000 raised that night had been deposited into a personal bank account, Amanda's personal bank account. From there, it had flowed out in a river of personal expenses: kitchen renovation, luxury vacation, new car, credit card bills. The children in the brochure? Stock photos. Marcus laid it all out in a thick binder. Bank statements, wire transfers, credit card receipts. The kitchen renovation, $95,000 paid to a contractor named Premier Builders. A 2-week vacation in Bora Bora, $28,000. A new Mercedes, $75,000. A credit card payments totaling over $200,000. And the rest, nearly $450,000, still sitting in Amanda's account, untouched but accessible. The children's charity angle was pure fiction, Marcus said. There's no evidence any of the money went to a legitimate cause. The brochure photos were purchased from a stock photo website. The testimonials were fabricated. The whole thing was a scam. I stared at the binder, my hands shaking. 15 years of friendship. 15 years of trust, of love, of believing in someone. All of it built on lies. What do I do with this? I asked. That's up to you. You can go to the police, file a complaint with the state attorney general, or confront her privately. Each option has risks. I thought about the other donors, the friends, the business owners, the philanthropists who'd written checks believing they were helping children. Some of them had given their life savings. One elderly couple had donated $50,000, their entire retirement nest egg. They deserved to know the truth. I called the state attorney general's office the next day. They opened an investigation within a week. Amanda, meanwhile, had no idea what was coming. She continued posting on social media. Photos of her new kitchen, her new car, her glamorous life. She even started planning another gala, sending out save the dates for Hope and Dreams Gala 2.0. I was invited, of course. Amanda called me personally. "Sarah, I hope you'll come to the next one. We're going even bigger. Can I count on your support?" I kept my voice calm. "I'll think about it, Amanda. Send me the details."
She did.
The new gala was scheduled for 6 months out at an even more expensive venue. Tickets were $15,000 this time. I forwarded the invitation to the Attorney General's office. The investigation moved slowly. The Attorney General's office subpoenaed Amanda's bank records, interviewed witnesses, built a case. I stayed in the background, providing information but avoiding direct confrontation. Amanda, still oblivious, continued her life of luxury. She posted photos of her new kitchen, her vacation home, her designer wardrobe. Each post was a knife twist, a reminder of whose money had paid for it. Then, 3 months before the second gala, the Attorney General's office raided Amanda's home. I watched the news coverage with a mixture of satisfaction and grief. There she was, being let out in handcuffs, her perfect life crumbling around her. The charges were extensive: fraud, theft by deception, money laundering. If convicted, she faced decades in prison. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt hollow. 15 years of friendship, destroyed by greed. The other donors, when they learned the truth, were furious. Some blamed me for not warning them sooner. Others thanked me for exposing the fraud. A few, the ones who'd lost everything, filed their own lawsuits. The second gala was canceled. The venue, the caterers, the vendors, all left unpaid. Amanda's reputation was in tatters. Her marriage, already strained, collapsed. And I was left with questions I couldn't answer. The trial began on a Monday, 18 months after the raid. Amanda sat at the defendant's table in a plain navy suit. No designer labels now, no diamonds, no glamour. Her husband sat in the gallery, alone, his face a mask of hurt and betrayal. I was called as the first witness. Walking past Amanda to the stand, I felt her eyes on me. I didn't look back. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Harris, asked me to describe our friendship, the gala, the donation. I told the truth, every painful word. When I finished, Amanda's lawyer approached for cross-examination. MS. Sarah, you were friends with the defendant for 15 years, is that correct? Yes. And in all that time, did she ever give you any reason to doubt her integrity?
No.
Never. That's why this is so devastating. But you hired a private investigator. You went to the authorities. You didn't come to her first and ask for an explanation. I tried. She stopped returning my calls. Did you consider that she might have been overwhelmed? That she might have had a plan to donate the money later? The money was spent. On her kitchen, her car, her vacation. There was no plan. The lawyer pressed, trying to paint me as a bitter friend, a jealous rival, a woman with an agenda. But the evidence was overwhelming. The bank records, the receipts, the stock photos, all of it told the same story. Other witnesses followed. The contractor who'd renovated Amanda's kitchen, confirming she'd paid $95,000 in cash. The travel agent who'd booked the Bora Bora trip. The car dealer who'd sold her the Mercedes. Each one added another brick to the wall closing in around Amanda. Then came the forensic accountant. She walked the court through Amanda's finances with chilling precision. The $850,000 deposited into a personal account. The withdrawals, the transfers, the spending spree. The $450,000 still sitting there, untouched, as if Amanda had been saving it for what? Another gala? Another lie? The defense called Amanda herself. She took the stand looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. Gone was the confident, glamorous woman I'd known. In her place was someone fragile, frightened, cornered. Amanda, her lawyer began gently, "Can you explain where the gala money went?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. I got in over my head. The expenses were higher than I expected. The venue, the catering, the entertainment. It all cost more than I'd budgeted. I used some of the donations to cover those costs, planning to pay it back later. But then more expenses came, and I couldn't catch up." "So you spent donor money on personal expenses?"
No.
"I mean, yes, some. But I always intended to pay it back. I was going to use the next gala to raise more money, to cover everything. I ran out of time." The prosecutor cross-examined mercilessly. "You spent $95,000 on a kitchen renovation. Was that a gala expense?"
No.
"You spent $28,000 on a vacation. Was that a gala expense?"
No.
"You spent $75,000 on a luxury car. Was that a gala expense?"
No.
"Then why did you use donor money for those things?" Amanda's composure crumbled. "Because I wanted them. Because I deserved them. Because everyone else was living this beautiful life and I wanted it too." The courtroom was silent. Even her lawyer looked away. The jury deliberated for 3 days. I spent that time in a fog, unable to work, unable to sleep, unable to think about anything except the verdict. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from other donors, all asking the same question. "What do you think will happen?" On the third day, the bailiff called. The jury had reached a verdict. I sat in the gallery, my heart pounding, as Amanda was led into the courtroom. She looked defeated already, as if she knew what was coming. The foreman stood. "On the charge of fraud, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of theft by deception, we find the defendant guilty. On the charge of money laundering, we find the defendant guilty. Guilty on all counts. Amanda's face went white. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder, but she shook it off. The judge set sentencing for 6 weeks out. I left the courtroom feeling nothing but exhaustion. Justice had been served. But it didn't bring back the money, didn't undo the betrayal, didn't heal the wound. The sentencing hearing was held 6 weeks after the verdict. I sat in the same courtroom, in the same seat, watching as Amanda was led in wearing a prison jumpsuit. No more designer clothes, no more glamour, no more lies. Just a woman facing the consequences of her choices. The judge, a stern woman named Morrison, reviewed the pre-sentencing report. The defendant has been convicted of defrauding dozens of donors out of nearly $850,000. The impact on victims has been severe: financial, emotional, psychological. Several have spoken of losing their life savings, their trust in others, their sense of security. The prosecutor spoke first, recommending a sentence of 8 to 10 years. She detailed the scope of the fraud, the number of victims, the calculated nature of the deception. This wasn't a mistake or a momentary lapse, she said. This was a deliberate, premeditated scheme to enrich herself at the expense of people who trusted her. Amanda's lawyer argued for leniency. He cited her lack of prior criminal record, her cooperation after the arrest, her expressions of remorse. My client is not a monster, he said. She's a woman who made terrible choices and is prepared to accept the consequences. A lengthy prison sentence would serve no purpose beyond punishment. Then Amanda was given the chance to speak. She stood, her hands shaking, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm so sorry to everyone I hurt, the donors who trusted me, my family who believed in me, my friends who stood by me for years. I have no excuse for what I did. I was greedy and selfish and wrong. She turned to face the gallery, her eyes finding mine.
Sarah, I'm sorry.
You were the best friend anyone could have, and I threw it away. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to understand how I became someone capable of this. I didn't respond. I couldn't. The judge considered for a long moment, then spoke. Amanda Worthington, you have been convicted of serious crimes that caused significant harm to many people. Your expressions of remorse are noted, but they do not undo the damage. The sentence of this court is 7 years in state prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. Restitution in the full amount of $850,000 is ordered, to be paid from any assets available. Amanda's knees buckled. Her lawyer caught her, steadied her. The bailiffs led her away. I sat in the gallery, watching her disappear through the side door, and felt something I hadn't expected. Not satisfaction, not relief, but a profound, aching sadness. This was the woman I'd loved like a sister. This was how it ended. The aftermath was complicated. The restitution order meant that any money Amanda had, the $450,000 still in her account, the proceeds from selling her house, her car, her possessions, would be distributed to victims. But it would never be enough. Most of the money was gone, spent on things that couldn't be returned. I received a check for $12,000, a fraction of my $40,000 donation. I donated it to a legitimate children's charity, one I'd researched thoroughly. It felt like closing a loop. The other donors reacted in different ways. Some were grateful for any recovery. Others were furious, blaming the system, blaming me, blaming everyone but Amanda. A few reached out to me personally, thanking me for exposing the fraud. One elderly couple, the ones who'd lost their retirement savings, wrote me a letter that made me cry. Dear Sarah, we lost $50,000 to Amanda's scam. It was everything we had. But knowing that you stood up, that you fought for the truth, that you didn't let her get away with it, that means more than the money ever could. Thank you for giving us closure. With gratitude. The Millers. I framed that letter and hung it on my wall. It reminded me why I'd fought. But the story wasn't over. A year into Amanda's sentence, I got a letter from her. Prison stationery, handwritten, full of regret and hope. Sarah, I know you have no reason to read this. I know I have no right to ask for anything. But I'm writing to tell you that I'm different now. Prison has given me time to think, to reflect, to understand who I became and why. I'm in therapy, working through the issues that led me here. I'm not the person I was. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying to be better. And that I'm sorry. Truly, deeply sorry. Amanda. I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it carefully and placed it in a drawer, next to the gala invitation that had started it all. I didn't respond to Amanda's letter. Not right away. I kept it in that drawer for months, taking it out sometimes, reading it again, trying to decide what I felt. The anger was still there, but it was quieter now, less consuming. In its place was something I hadn't expected. Pity. Not for the woman who'd stolen from me, but for the broken person who destroyed her own life trying to look perfect. I thought about our 15 years of friendship, the good times, the shared memories, the sisterhood I'd thought was real. Were they all lies too? I started seeing a therapist.
Dr.
Reyes helped me untangle the knots of betrayal, grief, and confusion. She asked questions I'd never considered. What did you lose besides the money? What part of your friendship was real? Can you hold both truths, that she loved you and that she hurt you at the same time? Slowly, painfully, I began to understand. Amanda wasn't a monster. She was a deeply flawed human being who'd made terrible choices. The friendship we'd shared, the sisterhood I'd cherished, that was real, even if it was complicated by her later actions. Both things could be true. A year later, I wrote back. Amanda, I've read your letter many times. I've thought about what you said, what you did, what we had. I'm not ready to forgive you. I don't know if I ever will be. But I'm ready to stop carrying the anger. It's been too heavy for too long. I hope you find peace. I hope you become the person you're trying to be. And I hope, someday, you understand the damage you caused, not just to my bank account, but to my heart. Sarah. I never heard back. Maybe she didn't get the letter. Maybe she couldn't face it. Maybe it was enough just to send it. 3 years later, Amanda was released on parole. I saw it in the news, a small item, buried in the local section. She'd served 4 years of her 7-year sentence, released early for good behavior. She moved to another state, started over, tried to rebuild. I didn't reach out. I didn't need to. The closure I'd found wasn't in her response. It was in my own healing. The other donors, the ones who'd lost money, continued their own journeys. Some sued, some moved on, some remained angry forever. The Millers, the elderly couple who'd lost their retirement, wrote me once more. They'd used the restitution money to start a small garden, they said. It wasn't much, but it brought them joy. I visited them once, at their little house with the tomato plants and the rose bushes. We sat on their porch, drinking lemonade, talking about life. They didn't mention Amanda. Neither did I. The $10,000 ticket price had funded nothing but Amanda's kitchen renovation. But the journey it started, the investigation, the trial, the healing, had funded something else. A deeper understanding of trust, of betrayal, of forgiveness. Not the kind of forgiveness that excuses, but the kind that lets go. It's about the long, painful work of healing after someone you love betrays you. It's about learning that forgiveness isn't a gift you give them, it's a gift you give yourself. It's about understanding that people are complicated, that love and betrayal can coexist, and that the only way forward is through. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? Did you find a way to forgive, or did you have to let go? Share your stories in the comments below. Let's talk about the messy, complicated work of healing. And if this story of galas, fraud, and hard-won peace resonated with you, share it. Sometimes, the most important thing we can do is let go, not for them, but for ourselves. Thanks for listening.